Yeah, I was just going to chime in on the whole fucking GDP discussion. I was interviewing George the other day, George Gammon, and he reckons that if you look at the past 30 years of GDP data, real GDP that is, he reckons you've seen 60% cumulative compounded GDP growth in the past fucking 30 years of economic data. Like that's a compounded number. So real GDP is absolutely in the toilet. Anyone could make a pretty good argument to suggest we've actually been in a economic depression since 2008. I think what's his name, Emil Kalinowski or he was used to be from the Eurodollar University. He reckons we've been living through a silent Great Depression 2.0 since 2008, and that's how I look at it. If you look at how these metrics are actually calculated, we haven't seen any real GDP growth in decades.
Well said.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I mean, does seem kind of ridiculous that, with all of the things going on right now, that we're seeing quote unquote GDP growth with, obviously the massive amounts of inflation, layoffs, earnings down and, almost across the board. But I mean, I guess here we are.
Yeah, this actually just popped into my head as well. I was making a tweet. I had a look the other day. How much money did we give to Pakistan for gender studies? So I think we gave Pakistan something like $200 million for gender equality studies in the recent fucking Inflation Reduction Bill. So the biggest thing people miss with all these GDP calculations is they factor in government spending. So if the government's spending money, that means the GDP metric is goosed upwards, and it's looking like the economy is growing, when in fact we're giving Pakistan $200 million for boys to cut off their hoo-has and for girls to cut off their wheat. Oh, I'm not even going to go there, but it's ridiculous. Like the crap that these bloody, fiat economist metrics are measuring is absolute horse crap.
Yep, you're right. And that stuff is everywhere. I bet you could go and find, healthcare expenditures, and all these numbers could probably still keep going up these last couple of years. But there is the overt direct unemployment of all these nurses and other staff that have gotten laid off. And then there's the, out of workforce, searching, not searching, where all these people are hidden. But healthcare costs are going up as there's less people employed doing the actual damn work. The only way that they can adjust that is try to do factory medicine. But that's just another factor. All these things are getting squeezed. They're all in this slow rot of a depression.
Yeah, I saw CVS and Walmart had to cut their pharmacy hours, and the main problem is they just can't get enough pharmacists to work all the hours, and they're not even willing to work that long anymore. It's kind of interesting.
They're even looking at remote prescription filling because of that too. I don't know if you've seen that.
Which they should probably do, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's already ridiculous. I mean, in the United States, the amount of people hopped up on pharmaceutical drugs is already just insane.
More than 100%. Everyone is on drugs.
There was like an Adderall shortage like a couple months ago, and a bunch of people were
It still is.
It's still ongoing.
I think there's something like enough prescriptions for opiates for 70 million people in the U.S. I think the number's around 40 million for the ADHD drugs. You add in your alcohols, your tobaccos, your weeds, and all that stuff. Everyone is fucked up in this world. Everybody.
That's actually an important component too in some of the employment shortages, particularly in things like truck driving and certain other jobs where they're working for the government and they have to drug test. A lot of times they just can't get people to pass the drug tests. So that's an interesting dynamic that you'll hear about in certain industries.
Yeah, a lot of people, and I jumped in on somebody earlier who said that some of these things were exogenous, all these things that are going on in society. I say they all have the same underlying root cause. But, auto is another one where over the last decade, prices went from 30K to 40K average. I think they're rocketing way up above that now. And over that same decade, you went from like 18 million a year seasonal run rate down to like 15 million. So you got prices going up, you got your actual supply trending downward, and everybody here has mentioned some industry or some whatever that's doing a contraction. That trend isn't slowing down, stopping, or going the other way. Oh, but the other thing I want to mention about the auto industry is these coronavirus lockdowns, all this bullshit, these were all just rolling layoffs I mean, automakers love layoffs. They love shutting down plants and not being responsible, putting people on, government, paycheck for weeks or months on end. They love this. They right size their production. And you'll see it affect their least profitable cars. You saw small car plants shut down more than big cars because small cars they don't make as much money, and they're right sizing away from it towards big cars. This whole last couple of years was a gift to the automakers. Oh, just say your case count's high, shut down the Toledo plant for 6 weeks, and don't sell as many Chevy Cruises. Fuck Chevy Cruises. The poor can't afford them anyways.
Yeah, but when you are in an industry, technologically speaking, you want to optimize maximum profit, and trucks make you more money than cruises. So that's kind of what you have to go with.
Yes, especially mass manufactured drugs. They make you more money than hiring a nurse and paying her to take care of someone, whoever.
Yeah, the bottom line is you and I are voting with our dollars every day, right? I mean, whatever power we give Papa Powell or whatever, we are driving the inflation and deflation. So I think I just canceled 3 subscriptions this month, and just if everybody starts working towards deflation, we'll get deflation. If we keep on spending money, we'll continue to get more inflation.
It's psychological,
perfect, but it's not this is the world we live in.
It's a group psychological phenomenon now. And, the first thing you said that was right is that it's up to you and I. It's not in Powell's hands or any of these central planners whether inflation doesn't happen or to what amount. Personally, it's already mathematically baked in, and it's all psychological now. But that's truly it, and that's the game that Powell's playing domestically, is break the backs of people so hard that they believe that the dollar is going to be low and flat and stable. They're going to stop asking for raises, and they're going to tighten their fucking belts and just deal with it. That's really all they're doing, is just trying to create pain for people so that they believe in the power of the Fed.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself, Sir Pleb. Hardik, I think you came off mute for a second. Did you have something else to add to that?
I mean, look, there are people in my company who hates my job and hates me, and then there are people who hates the Fed, right? Like, it's just I don't blame the guy.